I have the IC-7300 and the Yaesu FT-991A sitting here next to each other. And over here is the 7300. And what I thought I would do is go over some of the differences between the two and maybe look at the scopes and see how they compare. So I've got the same kind of speaker connected on each one, and you're not going to be able to tell that much difference in the sound, but anyway, of course the same antenna, and I've got an AB switch here that I can switch back and forth and turn that one off and turn this one on, etc. Well, let's see, first of all, let's take a look at this 991A. We've got 17 buttons on the front panel, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 knobs, and each one of these knobs is individual. There's no concentric knobs on them. So down here you have your AF gain, your RF gain, and this is your clarifier, as they call it, or the RIT. And here you have the multi-knob, which does a lot of different things. It's just a knob. It's indented. So right now I've got it set to tune in 1 kc, 1 kilohertz increments, so it's going like this, which is handy. Now on the IC-7300, this is actually these are actually double knobs. So this is your AF and RF. This is your twin passband tuning, front and back, both same function. And this also is a push button, so you can clear the setting in it. There's your multi-knob, but it's also a push button. This is a push button here for your split operation. And of course your main tuning. So there's, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6 knobs. So there's really one more knob on the ICOM. The button situation gets a little more complicated. I counted these. There's 17 buttons on here, and that's nothing is dual purpose. And then of course you've got touch buttons on your screen. The only ones that work are these, so there's 4 of those. And this touch screen doesn't do anything up in this region, only down here. And over here, you got 27 individual buttons, so it's 27 versus 17. 27 physical buttons, and counting the multi-knob button. And then you also have buttons on the screen. Excuse the glare here. But just about everything up in here is a touch function. For instance, if I touch 7, that gives me my bands. And that versus the 991, if I want to change bands, I have to hit the band button. So that uses up a button. I hit that, and that gives me my band buttons. So that's, not much difference there. To change modes on the 7300, you hit your whatever mode you're in. So CW becomes several buttons here, sideband, CW, and RIDI. And those actually are, those are a little bit out of focus due to the camera, but those are some dual function buttons. So in other words, if I hit sideband and if I hit it, it changed to lower sideband, I hit it again, it's upper sideband digital, and hit it again, it becomes lower sideband, and then CW, and you can hit it again and get CW reverse and so forth. So on this one, you hit band and mode, and they're all right there. So that's a little more clear as to what you're doing. You don't have to double down on your button pushing. To get out of one of these menus, you have to hit the same button. So I have to hit, if I try to go to well, take that back. You can go between the mode and the bands, but you can't go to the menu until you get out of the mode, and then you go to the menu. Well, then on the also here you can change the type of meter, and we can collapse the screen, make it a little smaller, and make the frequency readout bigger, and the S meter gets bigger. And if you click on the S meter, it becomes the SWR meter. Click it again, it becomes ALC, and compression, and then voltage for your finals, and your current for your finals, and then power output, and then back to SWR. And this one, of course, you can push that all day, won't do anything. And to change that, you've got to get into the menu to change what that meter shows. Well, filters. To change filters on the 7300, you just push the FL filter button. That scrolls through 3 preset filters, and then you hold it, and that gives you, as you can see here, filter 1. It's a little washed out because of the lighting. Filter 1, 2.7K, and filter 2 is 400. If I want to change the bandwidth, I hit the BW button, and I can just kind of make that anything I want. And you can also modify your presets for the twin passband tuning. And then when you're done, you just hit this exit button, and you're out of there. Let's make our scope bigger again. So if you want to change filters and SWR power meters, and also, again, let's see here, there's something else. See this FBKIN? That's fast break-in. I can change that with this button over here. As you can see, it changes like so, off, break-in. And this one, to change between all that stuff, you've got to get into the menu. Well, the menu, let me push the button. There's the menu, and there's 154, I think, different items. And to scroll through the items, you turn the multi-knob, and you can see all the different things. It's showing 3 at a time. So, you know, you start out on 0, and you go all the way up to, let's see, and it's really hard to remember all these. 154 right here. So you start out with 01, and that's your AGC fast delay. So you're changing AGC speed, and so forth. It's good to have a chart nearby or the manual handy, so you know, like if you want to change your keyer from, say, a straight key to your paddles, then you've got to get into this keyer type menu. So you highlight that one, and then you push select, and then that lets you go from bug off bug, mode A, mode B, and so forth. And then you hit enter, and that accepts it. Then to get out of the menu, you can hit the menu button or the back button. It can get you out of there. So anything to do with the keyer and, well, for example, noise blanker or something like that. On the 7300, you've got noise blanker button, you've got noise reduction right here, notch and your preamps. And to change any of that on this 991, you've got to get into the function menu. And the function menu is separate from the main menu. And it's got, I didn't bother to count, there's a lot of different things here. Like here's your meter SWR and your power level and so forth. And then there's a forward and a back button here. So you scroll left to right or right to left and you look for whatever it is you want to change. Like here's your noise blanker. So I go through first hitting the function button and then scrolling until I find noise blanker, and then I can turn my noise blanker off and on, which is one way of doing things. Turn it off. Now if I want to do something like change the noise blanker's level, it's in here somewhere. And I don't even know where I saw it. I think it's one of the menu items in the other menu. So you'd have to go into that. 7300, if I want to turn on the noise blanker, I do this, noise blanker on, or if I want to change it, I hold the button, and that lights up this little bar over here on the right, noise blanker level. And that's lit up so I can turn my multi-knob, like this right here, and that changes my level, the depth, and the width. Just by touching it, selects whatever it is I want to adjust. Alright, so that's pretty easy. And stand by just a second. Okay, and let's see. There's a lot of other features that I could go over here. And the split operation, of course, that gets more complicated. So back to the scope. Let's see. We want to get out of the function thing, so let's do this and take a look at the scope. Now, you can change from an all spectrum scope, which just gives you the little peaks going across here, to the combination of the waterfall and the spectrum. There's no in between. You can change the brightness of this, but you can't change the sensitivity without, well, even if you change the RF gain here, like this, the scope still stays full blast. So there's nothing you can do about it. Now the original FT-991, the scope worked like this. You had a button here that you hit and that stops it, and on the older model, if you hit it again, it would scroll and the audio would go off, and then you could see the signals on here, and then you would tune your main tuning knob and move the cursor over the signal. And then if you want to sweep again, you do this. The only problem on CW, unless the guy is hitting a dead or a daw, just the exact time that it sweeps, you don't see anything. So, every time you hit it, you see something different. And that's the way the old 991 worked. Then with the A model, you hold the sweep button in, and that starts the sweep running automatically. And what it's really doing, it's sweeping and sweeping and sweeping very fast, back and forth like this. And if you look at the reference bar here, the level, you can see, as we've got some thunderstorms in the area, you can see that the level goes across the screen, and it kind of flows like that. Now these little blobs that are jumping up and down here are they're CW signals, and they kind of wobble, and they're not well defined, so it's really hard to tell where they are. And when you're in this continuous sweep mode, when you turn your main tuning knob like this, the display moves and the cursor, this vertical cursor line, stays put. So you're tuning and you're trying to get a moving waterfall marker or a blob, whatever, to show up right here where this is. And see this right here. This is a CW signal. You see little lines, little wide lines right there. Now I can change the color, but I can't change the reference level, and I can change the color of either the waterfall or the spectrum. That's pretty much all you can change on this scope. Let me turn on the 7300. Again, apologize for the lighting, because it makes the waterfall look white when actually it's these bars, these lines are like different colors, and the stronger, that's true of both rigs, the stronger the signal is, the more red it is. And you can change the colors of both of these and the style of the lettering and so forth. And then, like I showed you a while ago, you can go from an expanded to a compacted type screen, and this makes all the meters and things look bigger. Or another thing you can do is hit your function button, your menu button, excuse me, the menu button, and go to audio. Well, this takes you to an entirely different scope, and this scope shows your audio pattern like a normal oscilloscope would show. So you're looking at an audio pattern here, and if you're looking, see there was a CW signal, you can see the shape of his keying, and also when you transmit, you see your own signal. And this right here is a waterfall and a spectrum here showing the actual bandwidth of the signal coming in. It's got a little hold button here. You can freeze it. You can see this guy's little dit right here. Turn it back on, and you can change the level and the sweep rate of the scope and all that, which you can't do on the Yaesu. So let's see, we can go back, that's audio, and then you can go back to scope. There's actually a way you can show all four scopes really on there at the same time. So you can expand it, go to menu, go to audio, and now everything is bigger, smaller, and so forth. And so scope, you're back. And here is one major feature that the 7300 has. If you push this button here, it gives you another set of buttons here. Reference changes the level or sensitivity of the scope. So I can reduce this by turning my main VFO. That takes the noise out, and then I can see more clearly defined little bars here. And this is pretty much like an SDR receiver would have, or like a flex radio or something, kind of the same type of scope. And that's because this radio is a lot different. This is a direct sampling radio, and the Yaesu is a normal, typical super heterodyne with first up conversion, then down conversion, and a couple of filters, crystal filters, and then DSP. So this is your older technology, and this is your newer technology, and of course you can do a lot more with it. So we turn the reference level down, and of course I didn't show you, but you can also change the speed of the waterfall and make the signals go past very quickly. You can set markers, and then we can change the amount of bandwidth that we display on the scope. So for instance, I'm showing from 7 to 7050 here in the CW band. Over here, presets are somewhere in the menu, and you can set it for this is a 50 kc bandwidth, minus 25 and plus 25, or you can change it to 100 and 250, and I think it goes up to 1 megahertz sweep, or 1000 kilohertz. Okay, so now on finding signals with this one, a couple of ways you can do this. You can just turn the tuning knob, which is my favorite way, and just, zoom right in on it. Now you notice this guy quit transmitting before I got there. And there he is, very, very weak. Might want to turn my reference up just a bit there. There's a contest, the RAC contest going on, and that's what all this activity is. And if you want to, you can change the amount of the width of the display, or change the reference point. And to do that, you can go into the menu and click on Set, and let's see, I think, was it Function? And yeah, here it is. Excuse me. Well, not the display. There's all your levels. Band edge right there, user band edge. Now see, I can go in here, and I've got 4 preset band edges, so lower and upper band. So if I look down here, this band edge is for 7 to 7.3. Now that gives you a warning that you're getting close to the edge, and that's not really what I wanted. But let's see here. Well, I'm trying to demonstrate something, and it gets, my brain gets a little fuzzy sometimes, but as you can see, there's about everything here you can imagine. So take my word for it, I can expand this thing out here, and another way to do this, and of course you can change your edges here. You can go from center to fixed. Now with center, I'm looking at, this is an 800 kilohertz spread, and again, the lighting is kind of giving me trouble, but I can change the span There's a 4 kilohertz spread. I'm only seeing 4 kilohertz right there. Now in this mode, it kind of acts like the 991, where you're moving the scope and the cursor stays fixed. It's a little harder to tune. That kind of bugs me like that. I don't really like that, so I usually use the fixed mode. That way the scope is fixed and the cursor moves. And of course, if you want to, if you see a signal of interest, you can use your finger and click on it and then change, just tap right on the vertical bar there, and that changes your frequency. So it's pretty easy to change like that. Let's see, let's go down to 80 meters and see that thunderstorm activity. Now at 80 meters it's a lot more noisy, so I would turn my reference level down some, and then as you can see here, I can tune right out on the signal. Well, let's see, let's try it on this one. This is the 991, and if I do, so you gotta hit the band button and do 3.5. Okay, there we go. Now 3536 is what the ICOM is on, and so that signal we were hearing is somewhere in here. It's kind of buried in all this stuff. So if I go down to 35, 36, right there. And that's the guy we're hearing. So he's somewhere right in there. You can't see him. So just tuning across here, trying to find a signal. It looks like there may be one right here. So you start moving down, and you get a little confused of where'd he go. He'll stop sending, and so see this yellow? Now if I can turn the knob until the yellow gets, there he is. Going back to the ICOM. I will say the audio is more clear on the ICOM. Another little feature you've got is an SD card here. It's a 32 gig memory card, and that'll store scope patterns and audio, and also it's used to update the firmware, so it's kind of a neat feature. The mic jack there, and the mic jack here, this is a modular type thing. And one thing neat here is the key jack's on the front. However, it's just one jack, and it's just on the front, so you don't have any choice. So you've always got something plugged in there if you do CW, and kind of gets in the way. And you have to get into the menu, like I said, and change it from straight to straight key to a pedal. But got to do the same thing on the ICOM, so it's no big deal. This has a little speech girl built in there, and she'll tell you what your frequency is. And let's see, we've got the auto tune feature that zeroes in on the CW, which the Yaesu doesn't seem to have. Now, of course, the major difference between these two radios is the fact that the Yaesu covers 2 meters and 70 centimeters, or 440. So that's a huge difference. And if you want to do UHF along with HF, then you don't really have any choice between these two radios. It's either that or just go out and buy. I mean, this is a full function, does all modes on those two bands, and it does a lot. There's a lot of stuff there that it does on a lot of digital stuff. Both of them have USB ports on the back that feed serial data and audio, so they're both the same in that regard. I haven't tried the Yaesu yet, but that should work out pretty well. They do use the same driver for the USB connection. So there you go. As far as operating goes, obviously the ICOM is much easier. The scope is much better, and the audio sounds better. So the Yaesu is behind as far as technology goes. It's got the same stuff on it that goes back quite a few years to some of their other products. It's similar to the FT-991A or something like that. So anyway, sound audio on sideband is good on this radio. I haven't really compared the two extensively, but what I really wanted to do here was emphasize the difference in the scope so that you could see the advantage mostly of the 7300 and how easy it is to use. So there you go. Hope this was some benefit, and we thank you for watching.